The Jael Finishing School for Ladies, Etiquette for Dangerous Women, by Jaime Hope McArdle, read by the author. Chapter 3, Warrior Prince. I had made my truce with the dark side, not wanting to read the fine print. Can I claim ignorance if the ignorance is intentional? As with all prisoners of this war, I went willingly. At first, I was drawn by the promises of fun, happiness, pleasure, and getting to live for myself. Though I would have never admitted it directly, I wanted to be my own god. I wanted to decide what I would do, when I would do it, and who I would do it with. This is true freedom, the velvet voice of the darkness would murmur in my ear. True freedom means being your own god. It's the same story he gave Eve. The enemy of our hearts is not creative. He doesn't have to be. We are all tempted by the same basic thing, the lie that we should be the god of our own lives. It never stops there. We begin to want to be the god to those around us as well. We see it everywhere as people strive to get their own way, then to get the people around them to do what they want by lying, cheating, manipulating, passive-aggressive behavior, or forcing with violence and abuse. How often is it for their own good? It seems harmless in the beginning. We want to live our own lives. But that dark seed grows into trying to get everyone around us to do what's right in our own eyes as well. We become the judge for ourselves and others. A deeply twisted example of this is called tolerance. In the case where one insists they accept everyone as they are, they proudly declare all people and cultures have the ability to decide for themselves. They only do not accept people who do not agree with their enlightened tolerance view and would like to force those bad, intolerant people to line up with their own ideals. The darkness is not creative, but it is very tricky. When we sit in darkness, we are easily convinced that evil is good. In fact, most of the worst things humans do to one another come from a place of believing they are right and only have the best in mind, from broken friendships to world wars. Isaiah 5:20 and 21 reads, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight." And Romans 1:21 and 22 reads, "For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools." Deep down, while I languished in my own prison, I knew something wasn't right. Not every day, but at certain points, truth would waft up from somewhere like a breeze. I was created for freedom. I was made to feel the sun on my skin and walk without chains. Once you've been in there long enough, though, you can't imagine what it would take to get out. Then there's the fact that you went willingly and embraced it. You were promised things, and you don't have them yet. You may have things, actually. You may have the family you wanted, the success you'd hoped for, the money to live comfortably. If you do, it's likely you are stalked by the fear that one false move will shatter the glass house you've built. The satisfaction, peace, and fullness of the life you crave isn't there, and you're sure it will be if only you stick around a little longer. If you don't have it, it's always right around the corner, just a little farther down the path. Keep on, and either way, it's best not to think too deeply about it. The agents of darkness use tactics unique to each person to keep you in your own individual prison. Free will is real. The bottom line is, you can only be lured by the darkness, never taken by force. They don't even have the keys to their own kingdom. So deception, empty promises, threats, fear, and pain are the only tools they have, and they are masters at them. Most of us go willingly. It only takes the right bait. God loves the world and all the people he created. It breaks his heart to see us all in these prisons. So he wrote himself into the story. He showed up, behind enemy lines, hiding his birth in a little barn stall. He did crazy subversive activities like forgiving people and healing them even on holy days. The religious leaders were beside themselves. This man was breaking the rules. He did so much good, he had to be taken out. He's the biggest danger to the gates of hell of all. We read that he allowed himself to be caught, tortured, unjustly tried, and killed in the worst way the Roman Empire was executing. Well, maybe except being fed to a lion, because that sounds pretty bad to me too. And in doing so, he was taken to the heart of hell, and the Prince of Darkness danced and celebrated the victory, certain he finally conquered once and for all. Game over. Humans have no hope. But no, the story didn't end there. Triumphantly, from the worst possible scenario came the best possible outcome. Our warrior prince hero came out of the prisons of hell with keys in his hand. It is said the power was so strong on the earth when the resurrection of God's Son himself came to pass, that the dead in faith all over the region came out of their graves and walked among the living. Matthew 27:52 and 53 reads, "The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many." I can't even imagine one of these personal stories. Your father, who died in an accident 2 years ago, comes in the front door after the resurrection. The grave couldn't hold him. There are so many side stories from a verse here and a verse there in the Bible I wonder about. No wonder this little sect of Jesus followers grew against all odds in that first century, when the man who has spent 3 years making the blind see, the deaf hear, the dumb speak, and the dead live, tells his followers in as plain Aramaic as he can, "I will die, and in 3 days rise again." Then he dies in a public execution in front of anyone with the stomach to watch, in the manner he also predicted. And the sun goes black when his spirit leaves his body. A great earthquake comes, and the massive separation in the temple is ripped from the top down, as if God himself tore it in two. He shows back alive to hundreds of people after 3 days. And to top it off, the power of the resurrection is so intense that others who believed in this God of the Jews came out of their graves, walking through town alive again. Threats from the Roman Empire to kill anyone who follows this way ring hollow. Not even death can stop a movement like that. Of course, they were bold. Of course, they had no fear of hell or the Roman Empire. These were free men and women. The hero we have all been hungering for, the hero of every fairy tale, every action-adventure movie, every woman's deepest heart's desire, is the warrior prince who would fight through the very gates of hell to bring us home. Why is this hunger for that so deeply instilled into our hearts? Because it's true. Somewhere in the deepest places, it is a tiny seed throbbing and begging for light, air, and water so it can come alive. It is true. The warrior king has come and fought through hell to bring us out. Yet still, we cower in the dark, afraid of what will happen if we try the door. This king is creator, guide, father, and beloved. He is both lion and lamb. He is all of this at once and more. I mix my imagery from time to time on purpose, because for some it is a season where what is yearned for is a strong father who will scoop up a lost child to safety and provide everything needed. For some, it is the friend closer than a brother who gives the best advice and walks through life together. And for others, it is the beloved, a true heart who will fight through hell itself to be reunited with the other heart that beats as one with his own. He is everything at once. Even if we humans cannot comprehend and have to switch back and forth like a cubist painting to try to grasp the facets of an all-encompassing God. Can you imagine the broken heart of that creator, father, king, warrior, best friend, beloved, prince, as he calls to each of us from the other side of the door? To him we are child, brother, sister, princess, beloved, queen, and he is desperate to regain your heart to safety. Relationships are two-sided. I think we get stuck in our human construct, imagining that we need God, but why would he need us? He's God. He's complete. He had it all. Yet, if that were true, why bother with all this? Wipe us out in mercy and maybe start again. Miraculously, it is the depth of his love for us that stands on the other side of the door in blood and tears. He is not unaffected by us. He's desperate to free us and bring us home. He is relentless in his pursuit of us, like the hero's words as the beloved is being led away to captivity. I will find you. His determination is unstoppable. Almost. The only one who can stop him from bringing us home is us. In the same way we walked into the prison willingly, we must desire our own freedom. We must want to come out. He waits with tears of grief like a father who desperately wants to see a child released from captivity, eyes burning for the beloved he's given so much to find. I am here, waiting to lead you through dark hallways to safety. I won't let you down, but I can't force you to come. I've given my own life to do this. Just try the door. The door locks only from the inside. You have to unlock it yourself. You must desire your own freedom. If you don't have the strength to open the door, unlock it. Call to me and I'll come in and get you. Can you hear me? I'm right here. Can you hear me? There finally came a day when, close to the death in my soul, I began to move. For me, it was 2 a.m., and I couldn't sleep from the heaviness of death in my heart. I sat on the floor of my living room in the most despair I've ever felt. And the only line I could write over and over in my journal for 2 pages, with tears in my eyes, was, "No one can help me. No one." The death was in my spirit, and though I have never been one to seriously consider killing my body, this was one time where I had hoped somehow I would simply cease to exist because breathing became too much effort. What brought me here was the end of myself and my own plans. I had made good things my ultimate things, as Tim Keller explains, and God had not allowed me to have what I'd done everything in my own human manipulating heart to get. I believed if I had this one more thing, then I would be okay. My life would not be hollow. I would finally be happy. I would have peace and joy. But it was a lie, and in his mercy, God blocked me from what I thought would finally give my life meaning. As the darkness closed in on my prison, I felt I would surely die. Sometimes God allows us to have the things we believe our identities and egos will be satisfied with. And when that too turns up hollow, many find themselves on top of the very mountain they set out to conquer, alone and in the dark. We are created to find our fullness and abundance in intimacy with Him and living out God's purpose for us. We will never be satisfied with the cheap trinkets we think will fill us. For those who come to a real dead end, in either case, we have a choice. That night, I had only enough strength to crawl through the mud toward the door. I reached for the lock. I wasn't even sure if I'd been able to reach the latch before I collapsed again onto the ground, covered in mud.